Hi folks, in the previous video I showed you how I cut the bow ties into the area that they were going to get implanted. And it's a Dutchman joint, bow tie, several other names. But if you didn't see the beginning of this video, episode 8 has the first half of putting these bow ties in. So I'm going to put a little click right here to go see the first video if you missed this one, or if you missed that one. But anyway, without further ado, and this video is also going to have inlaying of turquoise in my part. So if you want to know how to do that, or how I did it, it was my first go at it, but it turned out great. So without further ado, here's the video.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper.
It turned out really beautifully, and as you can see, it adds character to it. Now, what I'm going to put to the public here is what happened was the wood started drying, as I explained in the first episode of this, episode 8. It started drying even more after I put it together and mitered. And the one thing that a finished carpenter cannot live with is a miter that doesn't fit. And these fit pretty doggone good, especially when I put bolts in the backside and clamped it together. But the wood shrunk so much that I ended up with some small gaps. So what I did was I just ran a router through it. But here's the public opinion I need. Should I fill them with the turquoise? Because this has such a natural line to it, I don't know that I want to mix that natural with, you know, perfect lines. What do you think? Let me know. Okay, now, without further ado, here's how I did all this. Beautiful. Well, so far I'm 3 for 3. 3 more to go. Maybe I'll do this without screwing up. What I'm doing is I'm doing it in multiple passes. So I'm doing one real shallow one, and then I go deeper. And what I really like about this base is I can just set my ultimate depth, but if I want to make multiple passes, I just have to turn this little guy and it resets. Seems to be working. Well, that's it. Pretty impressed with myself. 6 out of 6, perfect. Okay, I just ripped the pieces down. And I'm just shy, you can see, just shy of it. So I'm just using a razor knife to slice it a little bit, and then they pop right out. And then I'll just have a little bit of cleanup to do with a file. And then time to glue and pop them in. I'm excited. See what this looks like. All right, I have 5 of the 6 glued in. I made them a little proud, actually maybe a little too proud. Proud means they're sticking out, so I've got something to sand. Okay, so first thing that I'm doing is I took a rasp. It's a pretty coarse rasp, and I roughed up the back side of it. Just give the glue a little something extra to stick to so it's not a completely flush, flat surface. I run my fingers around the bottom of this and make double sure that there's no little tiny burrs sticking up. And now they seem to fit a little differently depending on which direction they go in. So that seems to fit okay. Yeah, it's this way. Okay, so just remember the darker stripe on the bottom edge on this edge here. All right, so next, I'm just going to break the edge a little bit. Give it just a little bit of a taper. Not much, it doesn't take much. Okay, now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and put some tight bond glue in here. Pretty fair amount. And I've got a little artist's brush here. Oh, wow. All right, and I'm just gonna get this stuff up on the sides. Now it's gonna pull back down on the bottom, but for right now, I just need to spread it out and get it up on the sides. Then I'll come back in and kind of collect it up off of the edge to put on my bow tie. Okay, just about got it here. All right. Want a good amount of glue on here, but not too much that it won't allow the bottom to go in. All right, now I'm just going to put it on the inside edge because this is what's going to coat the part. Because when I stuff it in there, the stuff that I just put on the sides is going to be pushed down to the bottom again. So I'm giving it a, I don't know, am I getting this on camera here? Yeah, I'm not having any problem getting rid of this extra glue that's in here. This is going right up on this part. After doing, well, this is my 6th one. After doing 5 of them, I kind of got it figured out. Of course, thank goodness for YouTube University. All right, so the dark stripe on the bottom. This would not be a good time to drop this thing. All right, and we just get it fitted where it wants to start. And I'm just gonna lightly tap it with the hammer. Now you hear it change, that's the sound changed, it's bottoming out. All right, now, just so I don't have a big mess later, what I'm going to do is take my chisel and I'm going to run it away from my groove that I cut in on the back side of my chisel and just scrape and wipe off this glue, because this stuff, when it gets hard, you know, and you've got a big bead like that, it can really affect your sanding, because it can be actually harder than the wood you're sanding. And if you have a rubber pad on your sander, it will, the glue, because it's harder, now it's not harder than this walnut, it might be harder than the oak, just not sure, but it'll pook up, it'll push itself up into that foam liner under your sandpaper, and you won't get a good flush sanding job. Now I'm pulling away from my groove. Just, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just get as much off as you can. So this has been an interesting learning experience. I've got a lot of experience with routers, so it wasn't all that tough. I found that the larger the piece, the easier it was to use the template. And what else did I learn? Don't scrimp on the tape. A couple of my first early cuts, I kind of really blew it because I didn't have enough tape, and I didn't take the time to vacuum and clean and get everything off of everything. So now what I have is I've got this little pick, and I'm going to go into this groove because I do not want any glue down in there when I do my inlay or whatever I do with this groove. I need whatever I'm putting in there to go right up against the walnut joint. So I'm just taking a little extra time to get that completely cleaned out. I set up my Fordham Dremel on the bench here temporarily. Got my lights out. Broke out my old burrs from doing jewelry, and these are micro tiny. I mean, that's the biggest one I have, so probably won't be using those. I have these that I haven't opened yet. It may have to be a combination between the two, I don't know yet. I'll give this a try and see what happens. Well, it's working. This is going to be a long process here, but I'm getting it out of there. Little air gun. Stop. And I don't really know how deep is deep enough. Boy, it looks pretty bad under these things, but to the naked eye it looks pretty good. Anyway, I just have to try it and see. Wow, this is going to be a lot of work. I have, and then the entire thing, oh my god, but some of it isn't even cracked. So all right, I'll check back some other time after I get some of this done. I'm gonna attempt to video what I'm working on here. I've got my Fordham. I don't know if this is gonna, what I'm doing is I'm taking the resin out of the cracks and just shaping them a little bit. This is a big knot. I'm just widening out the crack a little bit and getting the resin out of it, and then gonna have a nice little knot here. So I'll show you what the next step is. And one of the tricks I've learned is not to blow it off or anything. If you push your sawdust back in the crack, you can actually really see what your lines look like, and then you come along afterwards and vacuum. But I'm just working these cracks right now and shaping them the way I want them so they're wide enough to get the the stone in it. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm taking each, it's hard to videotape this, I'm taking tweezers, fine jewelry tweezers, and I'm filling the crack with the tiny rocks. Okay, now I'm getting rid of the excess. Sorry about the music in the background. Hope YouTube doesn't ping me on it. Anyway, okay, so filling the cracks. And now I'm going for a finer grit. Get some little ones in there. All right, you get the idea. I'm gonna concentrate here, but I'm going one size smaller, and I'm gonna fill it all in and put some thin super glue on it again. All right, I've got more than enough built up on top here, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and put some thin super glue on it. It really travels, so you don't have to put a bunch, but I want to make sure that it's all stuck, although I want to keep some voids in it so I can put powder in it as the last step. Sorry about the music again, YouTube, I don't have the rights to it. It's going to be a lot of sanding on that. Whoops, oh god, I'm leaking. Okay, well, I got it anyway. All right, that's that step. All right, my next step is sanding with an orbital sander with 100 grit. And like this little bit right here, that's gonna go quickly, these little ones. But this fill in is gonna take a little bit. Probably gonna have to put new sandpaper on it. And I've been using the edge so I don't dig into my wood. I can tell I've got it is the super glue that's on the sides. See how it's really dark brown around the edge? That goes away, so I know I've hit the surface of the wood. So this is sanding from stage 1. And then I'll fill this one with the smaller version again. But these are the big ones. But I just wanted to show a little bit of the sanding technique. Now this one here, I'm gonna go flat on the center, because if I try and go on the edge, it's gonna break them out. So I'm gonna start by going flat on the center. See, now I've got a flat spot, so I can use the edge of the sander now. But if you were to try and do that without getting them flattened out, whatever little pieces of stone are sticking up when you hit it with the side, you're either going to tear your paper or it's going to you're going to have problems. It's going to fling those pieces out. Okay, this time I've actually crushed some of the finer stuff. I crushed it with a hammerhead, just ground it around, and then I filled in with the medium. And now I've put the powder on top and patted it down, so I knocked it down in the cracks, and we'll see how that turns out. Okay, well, that technique worked out really well, and man, I'm done, I think. I've sanded all down my bow ties. They're beautiful. They are really beautiful. And all of my inlay is done, and I've collected some walnut sawdust. I'm starting a collection here. I have walnut and oak in the event that I need to make some filler. But wow, it looks really awesome though. So I think that this is it. this is it for this video. Man, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I've been working on this thing real hard. Couple of rum and cokes, Captain Morgan cokes. Wonder if I can get a monetization for Captain Morgan on YouTube. Anyway, all right, as usual, subscribe, like, share, and it's been wonderful, gang. Appreciate you all watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks. Peace out.